This is Abby, and this video is on Mercury and Scorpio. So, if you have Mercury and Scorpio, the way you think and communicate and assimilate information is very much about feelings. You are the counselors and the sort of like post-traumatic stress disorder experts of the world. Because Scorpio is a sign that's very deep, emotionally, has a lot of depth. It sort of is interested in those topics that are kind of taboos in our society. So if you have Mercury in Scorpio, you're probably fascinated with death, sex, reproduction, like traumas, crises, like world disasters. Those might be things that you're just like fascinated with from an early age, and you might have actually tried to talk about them and people were like, you can't talk about that, like that's not appropriate. But you don't really care about what's appropriate. Like you just want to talk about things that are like deep, that you can sort of share the deepest levels of the human experience with other people in order to have like intimacy with people, because you like really intimate relationships. You want that sort of intimate talk with people. So Mercury in Scorpio like might have friends, and it talks to its friends about like stuff that people don't talk about. Like your Mercury and Scorpio friend will be like talking about like sex, like who she had sex with last night, or like they might talk about like how their father died, and it's just like almost uncomfortable. Like Mercury Scorpio can like make people uncomfortable, and it gets right to the heart of things. Like it sees through the BS. So if you have Mercury in Scorpio, you can probably like see right smack through people's like BS, and you will just call them out on it, and it makes them totally uncomfortable because it's not socially appropriate, and you're just like, who cares? And people might avoid you because of that. But you, again, like you're the person who can be like, I understand how you feel when someone is getting a divorce, or like, you'll be on their side. You will be like, I will kill that son of a bitch. Like you are that person who a friend can turn to when they're having a really hard time, because you are on their side, and like you have their back, you're totally loyal, and you are totally subjective. Like you don't care if it was like your friend's fault. You are on her side or his side or whatever. And you always know like what to say, like in bad times, like when someone's had a loss in the family, like you know what to say, and it's not going to come across as like the same old BS that everybody says, like I'm sorry for your loss, like whatever. Like you'll just be like the person to be like they can turn to, just to talk about how it really feels. It's hard to describe, I guess, because it's really more about feeling. And if you have Mercury in Scorpio, it might have taken you a while to speak because you were busy observing everything. You probably are able to observe everything, and you see everything that's going on. And you might be shy and kind of quiet, but like it doesn't mean you're not a deep thinker. You're a very deep thinker. Like you might not be I can't even speak today. What's wrong with me? You might not be like talking about philosophical things, but you understand deep concepts of like human experience. So people just don't quite understand you, possibly. If you have Mercury Scorpio retrograde, it's even more so. You might have not spoken when you were little for quite some time, and it wasn't because you couldn't. It was just because you decided you didn't want to. You're just like, nope. You're very like resolute, stubborn. You can't be quieted. Like if your parents were like, you can't talk about those kinds of things, like it's not okay, you were just like, I am going to talk about them because they are part of life. And Scorpio retrograde, or Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, is probably better at expressing through some sort of through almost like through listening, like through understanding, listening, and being there for other people. Like, you might not even have to speak, kind of like how, if you go to like a psychiatrist, they're like, how do you feel about that? Like, they don't really have to say much, you just get it all out. Like, you would be so good at that, and that would be a good experience for you because you could do all your observing, you could like be there for people, you could develop intimate connections, and at the same time, like, you wouldn't have to reveal too much about yourself. And that is like exactly what Mercury Scorpio wants. Mercury in Scorpio. So that's really it for Mercury in Scorpio. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them. Thanks for watching.